Vita Columbae. On a certain day, when the holy man was staying for some time in the province of the Pits, he heard that the man had been killed by a water beast. For when the certain man attempted to swim across the wilderness, the beast attacked him, seized him with a savage bite, and killed him. Later, the body of the unfortunate man was pulled from the water by those who were standing on the bank using a boat and hooks. When the holy man heard this, he ordered one of his companions, Lugnus Mocinum, to go down in the river and swim across it. All who were present tried to prevent him, fearing that he would be destroyed by the monsters too. But the man of God did not hear them. He trusted instead in the power of God. When Lugnus had reached the middle of the river, the savage water beast suddenly rose from the depths, rushed towards him at great speed, and opened its mouth wide, ready to devour him. Then the holy Columbus, seeing this from the bank, raised his holy hand and made the sign of the cross in the air, and in a loud voice said, "You shall go no farther. Don't touch the man. Turn back at once." At this command of the saint, the beast immediately stopped as it had been pulled back by the ropes, and fled swiftly into the depths of the river. Those who were present, both pagans and Christians, glorified God because of this great miracle, and the barbarians who were there confessed that the God of the Christians is greater and more powerful than all other gods.
This story comes from Vita Columbae, written by Adomani about Columba, a holy man. For this podcast, we translated word by word with the help of KI into English so that you can understand it, but we didn't simplify the language so that the old mysterious feeling stays by. The interesting thing about it is that people tell the story very differently than in the original book. In the book, the creature is not in the loch, but in the river Ness. Also, the story is not about a monster, but to show the holy power and God's authority of Columbae. To understand what the monster of Loch Ness is, we need some information about the lake it lives in. Here are some nautical facts about Loch Ness. The lake is 60 meters above the sea level and 230 meters deep. It is 7.3 kilometers wide and 37 kilometers long. It contains 56.4 cubic kilometers of water, which make it the second largest lake in Scotland and the lake with the greatest volume of water in the British Island. The river Fertiges flows into the Loch Ness and divides it into two large basins. The lake has only one natural island, but it also has one man-made island that is about 4,000 years old. Fish such as salmon, eels, and trout live in the lake. Loch Ness is located in the north of Scotland, about 37 kilometers southwest of the city of Inverness. The coordinates are irrelevant, but they are approximately 57 degrees north and 4 degrees west.
For a long time, only a few people in Scotland believed in the strange creature living in Loch Ness. Most people thought it was just an old story. On the 2nd of May, everything changed. A large British magazine wrote an article about the Loch Ness monster. After that, many people became curious. People from all over Great Britain started traveling to Loch Ness. They wanted to see the mysterious monster with their own eyes. The story spread quickly and soon many people were talking about it. In 1934, the mystery became even bigger. The surgeon R.K. Wilson showed a famous photo. The photo shows the head of the Loch Ness monster coming out of the dark water. The image was unclear, but it looked real to many people. Because of this photo, a lot of people believed that the monster truly existed for more than 60 years. The picture was seen as strong proof. The legend of Loch Ness grew bigger and bigger, and the Loch Ness monster became one of the most famous mysteries in the world.
When the myth became famous, many people tried to explain what Nessie really is. The probably most famous theory is that Nessie is a plesiosaurier that survived until today. And they are right, there are some similarities, like a long neck, a small head, or flippers. However, there are no further things that suggests it's a plesiosaurier. Therefore, scientists tried to prove that it's not a plesiosaurier, and they found some evidence. First of all, there would have been to be more than one plesiosaurier for species to survive. They would also need to come to the surface to breathe, which would lead me to many more sightings. The last and most important point is that the lake was formed after the last ice age, when plesiosauriers were already extinct. After they proved that isn't a plesiosaurier, scientists had one big question: what is Nessie? But then everybody asked themselves, what do all the people see who claimed to saw Nessie?
And exactly these questions scientists try to explain with the misidentifications of seals, fish jumping close to the surface, logs, or reflections in water. All these phenomena, which were misunderstood as Nessie, contributed the myth's fame. The scientists wanted to be more precise about the real story and conducted an eDNA study to examine what is living in the lake. As expected, they didn't find Plesiosaurus DNA, but they found a very large amount of eel DNA. Therefore, they suspected that Nessie was actually a large European eel, or maybe even more than one. Only one thing remained unclear. What is on the photo were not Nessie, and do we have believed the stoic fake news for over a half of a century? The following story was created from different sources that showed how the photo was made. It could be possible that the informations are not 100% correct and that some things were a bit different.
I stood at the edge of Loch Ness in March 1934. The lake was calm, the air cold, the mist low. For years people had told stories of a monster living here. Sightings were rare and often unclear, but the story never stopped. People wanted a proof. And I wanted a proof too. I knew it would be almost impossible to take a real photograph. The loch is very large and very deep and often covered in fog. But I wanted to make something that might people think, even if the trust was hard to find. To do this, I worked with a small team to make a model. A small figure with a long neck and a body like the descriptions in the reports. We put it on a tiny floating platform and placed it carefully on the water. Everything had to look real from the camera's view. On the day I took the photograph, I waited to calm water in the right light. When everything was ready, I lifted my camera and clicked. The image showed a long, thin shape rising from the water. It was published in the Daily Mail and quickly spread all over the world. Scientists talked about it, skeptics questioned it, and the public was fascinated. For decades, the photograph became the most famous image of what people called Nessie. People returned to Loch hoping to see a creature, but the photo was always just a model carefully placed. The angle, the lighting, the calm water, all chosen to make the image look real. Looking back, the photograph was not meant to deceive people. It showed how much people wanted to believe how stories grow when real proof is missing. Loch stayed silent. The photograph became a legend. The story of Ness continued even after people learned how the photo was made. And even today, Loch keeps a secret and people still come hoping to see something move beneath the water.
But even though more and more people no longer believe in Nessie, there are still sightings. Even in 2025, there were at least 4 new reported sightings. One of them took place on March 5th at Dawes Beach. A tourist claimed to have seen Nessie. She said that she noticed a black mass beneath the surface of the water. She was very confident about her observations, but many of the photos on the internet appeared to be AI-generated. However, the sighting was not an isolated case. In fact, there are people who call themselves Nessie hunters. The most famous of them is Steve Feldham. He has been watching the surface of Loch Ness over 32 years and has not found a single confident sighting. He holds the world record for the longest continuous search for Nessie, with several thousand hours spending assessing the lake. He even moved to Loch Ness to spend as much time as possible there. Another interesting fact is that in 1969, a dummy of Nessie fell into the lake during the filming of the music's The Private Life of Sherlock Holmes. A sighting reported in 2016 was later traced back to this dummy. So maybe there's nothing in the deep of this lake. Maybe one day we'll be proven wrong, but until then, even if we try to ignore it, the myths still stay alive. And maybe there's nothing down there at all, and we are hunting a ghost. People will always want something mystical in this world, something to search for, even if they know they will never find it.